What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to Knives of the Round Table. My name is Marco, and today we're going to be taking a look at the Brad Southard Mini Tolk. And before I get into anything, I need to thank my friend Kevin from Knife Nerdery. As I've mentioned before in my channel, my reviews are focused on my experience with a knife. How does it feel in the hand? How does it cut? You know, how does the action feel? It's very subjective, and it's my experience with the knife. His channel is devoted to a lot of the detail, how it's built, how it functions, the engineering, the construction, and how things work. Hence the name Knife Nerdery. And I think you benefit from both our perspectives, so definitely check him out. I'm gonna link his channel down below. So you don't see many custom knives in my channel, and it's because generally I'm not really into custom knives. And I want to thank Kevin because sometimes checking out a custom, and this is a full custom knife, you know, it's first you have to really trust the other person to send them a custom knife, right? These are not inexpensive knives. I'm not sure how much it cost them, but I know that the performance series version of this knife is like $750, so you can imagine how much the custom one costs. But generally I like high-end production knives. I like the Koenig areas of the world, the Shirokorovs of the world, custom knife factories, those kinds of knives. I don't go very much into custom knives. I have a couple. I have a Direware. I have a custom Hinderer, just because I think Hinderer is one of the best knife makers in the world. And I have Curtis knives. And Curtis knives is one of those that is a custom knife, but it's priced at high-end production level, so I think it's a really good value. So you don't see many custom knives here on my channel, but today we have this one. So this is the Brad Southard, and you can see his insignia right there, and this is the Mini Tolk. So this is the small version of the knife. There's a full-size Tolk, and we'll talk a little bit about that. So let me give you a tour of the knife. So this is kind of a sheep's foot blade. This is a 20 CV blade in a titanium frame lock. You've got your typical lock bar insert that is also an over travel stop, as you can see between the lock bar. You've got a milled pocket clip. You've got this really nice, you know, I'm not sure if it's copper or if just anodized titanium, but it's really awesome. That looks incredible. You've got really big Torques. I like what they do, the big Torques. So I think this is like a T20. I haven't taken it apart because, again, this is a high-end custom and it's not mine. But then you got a really nice pivot on the show side. It has, so this, Kevin told me that he's not the first owner of the knife, and it was sharpened before, so you can see the very large bevel. So somebody brought the bevel down a little bit on this one, but it has a very subtle blue anodizing. I don't know if it's coming across. Especially, you can especially see it here in this milling. I'm gonna try and rotate it slowly so maybe you can see it. You can also maybe see it here in the back. So that's kind of what you have. It's let me see if I find my ruler. Yeah. So it's a 3 1/8 inch blade, which is, it's approaching my sweet spot, right? 3 1/4 inches is what I would really like all my knives to be. But let me show you some size comparisons. That's a pair of 2, and this is the pair of 3. So lengthwise, it's very much in the neighborhood of the pair of 3, but it's just, the pair of 3 is just much thicker, taller, chunkier, thicker blade, everything. So you can see it here as carry profile, and in thickness you can see it is much thicker. Okay, let me put it back to back and you can see how much thicker that is. I think I think the best comparison I'm going to be able to give you is probably against the Benchmade bug out. So these are damn near identical carry profiles between the full-size bug out and the Mini Tolk. So as you can see, they're damn near identical lengths. They have damn near identical sharpened lengths. They have, I will show you here, they have near identical thicknesses. You can see here, you have near identical blade thicknesses. So these, and they carry remarkably the same. So I think if you have a full-size bug out, you can expect the Mini Tolk to feel identical in the pocket. And my aluminum version, so this Mini bug out has aluminum version, they weigh about the same. So if you have a titanium version of the Mini bug out or the aluminum version of the Mini, they feel very much the same. So let me get started with ergonomics. And the ergonomics on this knife, you know, it's a smaller knife. It's a smaller knife, and it kind of disappears in my you know, I wear large gloves in my hands, but the ergonomics are very good. It has this area that fits kind of 3 fingers, a tiny bit cramped, but okay. And then my finky falls on this backside, and you know, the clip is milled, but it's got like this rounding, and it's not contoured, but it's the edges have been rounded, so it feels very nicely in the hand. It feels very light. It feels very nimble, and so I think even in my large hands, even though this is a 3 1/8 inch blade, it has enough handle to where I can feel, you know, where I get a full grip on the knife. I don't feel like it's, you know, sometimes when you get a 3-finger grip, you feel that the knife is not secure in your hand. That is not the case here. It feels much more secure in my hand than the bug out does. It's the contouring that they've done here, the swell that they've done in this direction and this backside where my pinky kind of locks the knife in. This feels really nice in the hand. It's nowhere near some of the best ergonomics I've felt, and the reason is you got a flat face. There's really no contouring its direction, other than this milling that you see here. It kind of tapers down a little bit, so it kind of does a little bit of contouring, but there's no real contouring. So in the end, you have a little bit of ergonomic shaping in this direction, but you don't have anything, you know, contouring in that direction. So it feels good in the hand, but it's not highly ergonomic, and it probably shouldn't be, right? Because this is kind of a lighter duty knife. It's a thin blade. You've got a thin blade stock on this, and it is a custom knife. So chances are you're not going to be doing heavy work with this knife, right? Chances are you're you know, whenever you have to go and really you know, put, you know, 8 hours of cutting with this knife, probably this is not the knife that you'll be taking. This is probably more of a gentleman carry, or a, you know, a party, at least for me. There's probably not very many people that will use a custom knife as a heavy duty knife. So that's ergonomics. Now cutting, I cut a little bit with it. I get nervous when I'm handling somebody else's knife, to kind of, you know, put it through a typical kind of review testing for me. So I've cut, you know, a couple things, you know, some light cardboard, those kinds of things that I know will not damage the knife. And it's a very slicey blade, and you know, this the fact that they brought the bevel back, right? It means that the it starts to get thick a little bit further back, and it's not a thick blade. I don't think so. Let me see. Let me see if I can get you. It's a tad bit thicker than the bug out. It's in that neighborhood, but it's a tad bit thicker. And the bug head, it's not only thinner, but you've got more of a flat grind. This is more of a saber grind. You've got a little bit of flat, and then, but the fact that it's got the bevel laid back, this actually was quite a bit a good slicer. I would say better than your paramilitaries. It performed very nicely, but I have to be honest, and I did some limited cutting with it. I didn't do as much as I would when I'm testing one of my knives, and one that is not a high-end custom. Now, I do have to say that so Brad Southard, he's done collaborations with Shirogorov. I think he's done Spyderco's, and he has a performance series version of his knives that that are, I think, a collaboration with Riyadh. This is one of his earlier customs, and in fact, if you go into his website, I don't think he offers the Tolk or the Mini Tolk as options to order as a custom knife. So this is kind of a rare piece. But one thing that I did want to mention is some knives have kind of specialties, and if you see this divot or this cutout that it's got on the top of the blade, that's ideal for kind of like a pinch grip and to kind of do a draw cut. You don't see that in many knives, and it really lends itself to you putting the finger and you cutting this way. So if that's something that you do often, and usually this type of cuts, unless you're cutting kind of sandpaper or something like that, it's usually kind of light duty cutting. So this would be an excellent slicer if you're doing this type of cutting with your knife a lot. So that's as far as cutting goes, that's one of the strengths of this knife. Now, action feels amazing. It has a really snappy action, and it has a fairly drop shutty blade. Once you get past the second the double, it's not a double detent, the double clutch here, it's fairly drop shutty, and that's kind of amazing because and in fact, well, I don't know if it's I don't know if it has bearings or not. That's a good question. Let me see. I can't tell. I think it's on bearings. But usually for a blade that is this length and this weight, such a light blade, such a thin stock, and not very long, you don't get this drop shuttiness really. But I think that the lock bar tension is tuned so nicely that when you deploy it, it feels snappy. When you close, it feels smooth, and it's fairly drop shutty. Very nicely tuned action. I probably wouldn't put it on par with like a Shirogorov action or like a Koenig Arius action, but probably right there in the custom knife factory range. I would probably say right around there. Okay, kind of Curtis Knives type of action. It's very good. It's certainly better than what you'd expect from an XM18. Better than what you can expect from. So a little better than what you can expect from Riyadh. But probably Riyadh is a nice comparison. This feels a little bit better, a little bit more tuned, as you would expect from a custom knife, right? What else? Airing of grievances. Not much. It's hard to find a flaw with some of the custom knives. You know, there's so much attention that goes into them. I would like this to be just an eighth to a quarter inch larger, just because I think so. My three fingers, they fit here. They do fit, just a tad bit cramped, just a little bit. But again, this is the Mini Tolk, so maybe the full size Tolk would be for me. Now, again, I don't venture very much into custom knives, and so I don't have a good handle on comparing it with other custom knife makers, right? So I can tell you that the action feels better than my Hinderer. Okay, the custom knife that I have from Hinderer is a previous generation, and that one, the detent was notably weak on that one. The action feels better than my Direware, even though the action on that one is fairly snappy. This one feels snappier and smoother, although that one, because it's a chunkier, a thicker blade, it drops shut a little bit better. Now, my Curtis knife, the deployment of my Curtis knife is the best deployment I've ever felt. Now, that one has a huge flipper tab, so there's some help there. But I think that the closing action on this one is probably better than my Curtis. So, if you're interested in Brad Southard knives, you can try and get a custom. There's a performance series, which is kind of a collaboration with 3-Aught, or you can get kind of there's designs by Brad Southard on Spyderco, and I know for sure Shirogorov. So I think that the Shiro collaboration is particularly appealing, and that's the one that if I decide to pursue his designs, I'd probably go the Shirogorov route, just because I'm a big fan of Shirogorov knives. Well, guys, again, this is it is a review, but you do have to take it with a little less degree of reliability over my other reviews, and that's just because when it's a loaner and it's a high-end custom knife, I struggle to really put it through its paces, and I hope that everybody understands where I'm coming from. So again, I want to thank my friend Kevin from Knife Nerdery. Go check him out. I don't know if he's got a review of this one there yet. You'll have to check it out. But if you've gotten something out of it, if you enjoyed it, then like and subscribe. And until I see you at the next one, take care.